The good thing is
Yeah.
Kawhi's staying because the Clippers are going to the finals.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean,
My agenda has been clear for the last 3 months. That's all I'm going to say. But
it's Kawhi and role players on that team.
the disrespect to Luke Kennard is just out of control.
Oh,
It really is. I think he had 11 points in that game.
You guys think the Clippers come out?
Let's get to that. Let's get to the Clippers. I'm lagging all over the place right now. But so the Clippers won against Luka because it wasn't anybody else playing basketball on the Mavs. And, I mean, seriously, do you guys think that the Jazz, I feel like the Clippers have to be the worst matchup for the Jazz because they have the wings and the Jazz don't. Do you guys see the Clippers winning this series?
I do personally. It's weird because I had this scenario in my brain running where if the Mavs had made it, I would have picked the Mavs to beat the Jazz. Like, seriously. But they have this, the heliocentric nature of Luka is the kind of thing that works against a Jazz team. You saw how that was vulnerable with the Memphis matchup, but Josh is not on his level. And those role players aren't at the level that the Mavs role players are even at. Even if they aren't, like, they're not good, but they're better than what the Grizzlies had. And they're also older, better, they're veterans and all that. And I think they would have gave the Jazz trouble to where the Clippers, they have multiple kind of shooters. They're the only team that's better at shooting than the Jazz are. And that's kind of their go-to thing is the shooting. And I think the Clippers, they had good practice with the Mavericks as well. They can cover the shooters a lot better. They got better after Game 4. The numbers said they were contesting more three-pointers after the fourth game. They finally understood the assignments a little better. And the Clippers guarded the paint even better than I would have thought, mostly because they were keeping the Mavs out of the paint that weren't Luka. And even Luka was mostly getting his points from the mid-range. And that's not where the Jazz operate. The Jazz are a straight-up three or we're getting in the paint team. And I'm not going to trust Rudy Gobert to cover a five-out team like the Clippers. They've had their practice against big dudes like Boban, and they've seen everything. It reminds me
keep their bigs on the floor.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the Spurs. Y'all remember the Spurs Mavs series of the first round, 2014? That went to 7. That went to 7, and nobody thought that the Spurs were going to go back to the finals against the Heat that year. And they just straight up went 3 straight series where none of them went more than 5 games. And I don't think the Clippers are going to go through that. I just like that they went to this tribulation in the first round and got it out of the way. And got through it. Everybody thought they were dead. I think they're going to probably win this series. I'm not going to pick them to make the finals yet. I know Gad has a lot of money riding on that.
No, I don't. I have propaganda all over the place. I don't have money riding on it. I just have propaganda. That's all it is.
So many agendas on this side.
There's a trillion
accusations.
But yeah, I'm going to go with the Clippers in 6. But I still don't trust them. I only trust Kawhi. He's putting up 60, 40, 90 numbers. So yeah.
Clips in 6 feels right.
I agree.
Yeah, I think I'm around there too. It's funny because when we did the preview for the first round before the playoffs started, I remember I had the Clippers just destroying the Mavericks. My reasoning was that the Mavericks really don't have the wings that you need in order to bother Kawhi and Paul George. And even when you do, it usually doesn't really matter. They're so good. And even given that, the Clippers, like you guys said, were in some real trouble in this series. I mean, losing games 1 and 2 at home and then going on the road down 0-2 is a really bad spot to be in. And they responded by winning 4 or 5. My reasoning, while I think the Jazz are probably the better basketball team, they execute offensively with more precision. I think they're a little bit more connected and they have more things that they can get to. To me, Kawhi is just one of those dudes that when he, and I tweeted this the other day, when he decides to turn it on, it's over. Thanks for coming. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. We're winning this game. He just can take it to a level that there are probably less than 5 or 6 guys in the entire NBA that can, take their game to that kind of level. Like you guys said, I don't really think the Jazz have the wings to bother the Clippers guys. So I'm going to go with the Clippers as well in this series. I think the Jazz will keep it really competitive. I could see it going 7. But ultimately in that kind of scenario, I'm going with Kawhi. I think he's the best player in the series. I think that is the deciding factor here.
So we all got Clippers.
Can I ask a quick one that we don't need to break it down because we're obviously this is getting ahead, but now my mind's been kind of marinating on everything. Clippers Suns Western Conference Finals. I want to see it.
Absolutely. That's what I wanted the whole year.
I love.
We're not gonna see it.
Why? Jokic?
No, I don't trust the Clippers winning at home, let alone in Utah.
I just think they got past the worst part already.
No,
worst matchup.
I don't know. I mean, yes, Luka is a nightmare
Between the two, I mean. Between the versus the Jazz matchup, I mean.
Sure, but I just think that like a guy like Rudy, he just covers up a lot of the holes that the Utah Jazz defense has. Offensively, like he's the rock. Offensively, he just moves people around and he forces things to happen. And defensively, he covers up all of their weaknesses. I do not think that Rudy is the best fit, the best player in the playoffs, but I think the dominance that the Utah Jazz, even with Donovan Mitchell not playing, was pretty evident that I can't go against they're the 1 seed, right?
Yeah.
Overall,
I can't go against.
They have a lot of firepower.
I will say though that this kind of like I agree with what you're saying about him being such an impactful defensive player. I'm not the biggest Rudy Gobert guy by any means.
You hate Rudy
but
Gobert.
I hate Rudy Gobert.
Okay.
But in this particular matchup, the way Rudy generally drops every pick and roll, every screen action, he's dropping. Now he plays a little bit higher up than I think people generally like to acknowledge. He's not that deep all the time. But in a matchup against Kawhi and Paul George, they're going to be coming off screens. They're going to spam pick and roll, involve Rudy Gobert. And I think they'll be able to step into a lot of good looks or hit the roll man if Rudy plays up. So
it's a lot of looks they want to take.
What's that?
Players. That's a lot of looks like Kawhi and Paul George. They love to take those looks.
Yeah, exactly.
They're happy doing that. Like they will – Reggie Jackson, when he decides it's Reggie Jackson time, will hit 6 straight mid-range in a row for absolutely no reason, and Rudy Gobert can't do anything about it. I mean, that's just – the way the Clippers are. They have role players that can step up. Are they going to be consistent? No, but honestly, if Paul George is just a number 2 option in the series, which he was last series, then you're going to be fine. And he hasn't even shot the ball well from 3. So if that were to happen, Clippers in 6. Clippers in 6.
I get what Adam's saying though, like the trust factor. Like the Clippers haven't shown you as much throughout the years to earn that trust. But again, have the Jazz done that?
Nope.
And has Donovan Mitchell proven that just from the one bubble series last year? And, he's still working his way back, and he still looked like pretty good. Are you going to trust him to be the best player in the series, or do you even need him to be? Or do you just need everybody else to just be adequate like they were throughout the year and to get them past the series? It's kind of like who you trust at least a little bit. And I see why Adam would at least go with Utah. Right. I think it's going to be a close series either way, and I just can't wait to watch it.